All right, got the new 23 SB140. Picked this bike up from Reed's Cycles here in Boise, down on Boise Basin Road. Hop in, talk to Taylor. He'll get you set up with any of your Yeti needs. Yeah, we're gonna kick it old school today. Just me and my GoPro, and we're gonna go for a little spin. So T3 Lunchride transmission build. I know zero of the numbers on this thing. I was a big fan of the 130 XO transmission. DT EX 1700s, solid wheel set. First problem I see right here, my water bottle barely fit in there. Yeah, not a fan of that right off the bat, but I ride with a bottle quite a bit. Love the cable routing on this bike. Obviously we don't have any right here because we're wireless. Minion DHF, love this tire. DHR dual compound in the back. I like to see the dual compound back there on this tire, help it roll a little bit better. Fox transfer, code RCs, probably 200 in the front, 180 in the rear, I'm guessing. Yep. So yeah, no, good looking bike. Looks like we got like a 50 mil stem on there, maybe a 42.5 Berg Tech. Great stems. So yeah, there she is. Right off the bat, man, oh, it feels like fall. I love it. Best time of the year. Little punchy climb. Oop. Transmission makes some weird noises the first like couple rides, and then it just goes away. Like it has to like bed in or get seated, I don't know, but this one's doing it too. My bike did the same thing. Just has a weird noise right out the gate, but yeah, that should go away. Body position on this bike, killer. Just right off the bat, just feels real nice, comfortable, neutral feeling. Looks like I'm the first one to ride this thing. Reed's, they just got a full fleet of the new Yetis to demo, so be sure to head down there if you want to try one. I did pay for this demo with my own money. I do not have a sponsorship or deals or anything like that. I do get a deal at Bauerhaus Bikes where I buy most of my bikes from, but they don't tell me what to ride. They don't tell me what to buy. They're killer. And but yeah, I can ride whatever bike I want, and I don't have to tell you guys I like a bike because I feel obligated to, because so-and-so sent me a bike for free to demo. I always get a little red flag when I see videos like that. Not to say that those videos aren't good, but I prefer my channel to just be kind of an open platform to just, if I want to ride this bike, I'm going to ride it. If I want to play a certain drum set, I'm going to play that drum set, or motorcycles, or whatever I'm feeling at the time. Today, it's bikes, it's Yeti, and it's the SB140. Oh yeah. Doesn't feel as darty up the hill as the 130 did, and my score for that matter. Feels super supportive, but it doesn't feel as energetic. Something I want to point out on these Yetis, shock off the top tube. My old Specialized had that. Once I switched to once I rode the very first Evil, rather, shock down low, but more so the high tower, I just much prefer bikes with the shock on in the lower regions. The weight just feels better down there. It makes the bike, like when the shock's up here, the bike feels slower dipping into corners or side to side, or when you get out of the saddle and rock back and forth. The bike just feels heavy. to me. As opposed to, like, this bike probably weighs the same as my Score, but my Score feels lighter riding it because all that weight's down here and it makes the top of the bike feel lightweight. It's just a feel thing. It's kind of like if you were to take a door and put a bunch of like 100-pound weight on the handle, that door is going to be harder to push open and close, as opposed to if you put a bunch of weight, you know, at the inside of the door is going to feel lighter even though you're just moving the weight around, if that makes sense. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Not a deal breaker, I could get used to it, but I definitely wanted to just point out, this bike does feel a little bit heavier riding it compared to some of the other bikes, but it does pedal really well, so it does make up for it. Really nice pedal platform. Definitely feels more peppy than like a Specialized Stump Jumper Evo or Santa Cruz Hightower. Two bikes that come to mind. Those things just feel like they just rob all your energy when you're really getting after it. They descend really well, but I don't know, for Boise, I like more of a peppy bike. I've really stopped worrying about numbers. Like, I do not care anymore. I don't care what this bike weighs. I don't care what the head angle is. I don't care what the C-tube is. Is it a fun bike to ride? Is it comfortable? Is it fast, efficient, confident, you know, everything you want in a bike? That stuff matters to me more than, oh, the head tube is only 65 instead of 64.5. Oh, I'm gonna like this bike for sure. Oh boy. Oh man, I can already tell this is gonna be a fun downhill bike. But yeah, like, God, who cares? Like, go ride your bike. And I know it's hard for some people because they don't have the money to go demo a bunch of bikes, and they have to rely on people on YouTube to tell them what they need to know. But that's so hard because you really got to analyze their riding style and their riding terrain and all that stuff and see if it matches up to you, to see if you can take their advice. And even then, you still might have a different opinion. So at the end of the day, it's the rider, not the bike. But it is fun to try new bikes, for sure. Let's get into this first down. Take it easy until we get these brakes bed in. Kind of scrub them in here a little bit. Off. On. Kind of let it come to a stop. Not a complete stop. Just kind of getting some material on those pads there, starting to bite a little bit. On those rotors, rather. It already feels like, oh yeah, it's going to be a more confident, inspiring bike than the 130. I can already tell. Granted, I don't know the numbers. Oh yeah, we're liking this. I do know this is a longer chainstay. I do remember seeing that. I believe they're doing size specific. These brakes are starting to feel good. They are size specific, so this is a longer. I do tend to prefer the shorter back ends from just a maneuverability and cornering standpoint. Oh yeah, we're getting some bite. Suspension feels good. I'm not a big Fox guy. Yeah, the longer chainstay, I can definitely feel the stability there. If I had to guess, riding this medium, by the way, I'm 5'10" with shoes. I would guess we're in the 437, 438s. I have not looked at the chart. Previous models were 433, I do know that. Same with my Score. Let's talk price on this thing. I love this bike so far, but my God, they want $4,500 for this frame. And that is where the debate gets interesting, because this is a great bike. It is top shelf, the quality, attention to detail, A+. So they can definitely make an argument for the price of this bike. I get it. I mean, I still think it's overpriced, but you know, if you're balling out of control, ain't gonna matter anyways. But for people like me, majority of people, there's a lot of other good bikes that are a lot less money. Not to be a homer right now, but the score. That frame is closer to 3,500. I'll have to double check if they changed. Maybe it's 37. But I could get that frame and a Lyric Ultimate for the same price as this. That's where it gets interesting, because I'd have a really hard time justifying spending the extra $1,000 on the frame when you could get, all right, I'm just gonna be upfront with you, and I know this is gonna be a little cringy for some of you. There's 3 bikes on the market right now that I would own. And one of them I own, 4060. This is number 2. And I knew that. The only number, I don't know any numbers, except I know the price. And it's a lot. And there's one other bike, and I know people are gonna say whatever, but the bike looks sick. And it's the Trek Fuel EX. That was my first full suspension bike, so I have a little bit of a soft spot for it, but the new one looks rad. 140, 150. You can coil it. You can run it Lunchride 160 like this. Killer frame storage. I'm personally a fan of frame storage. I think every bike should have them. My Score has a little teeny tiny one that does nothing, but the new Score has a really nice one, 2030. But those are the 3 bikes that I would like. If I did not have a bike right now and I was going to buy, it'd be 4060, 140, or the Fuel EX. That's it. There is no other bike out there that even interests me. Stump Jumper, no. High Tower, no. Like, they're just not as good pedaling, and I do a lot of climbing and a lot of pedaling. Like, them's the 3. So I need to double check on the Trek frame, but I believe it's around 37 also. And then you can get a GX transmission build for like, maybe it's 8. And so this is the T3 LR Lunchride Exo transmission build, $9,000. So if you just look at it as a frame, or if you look at it as complete, I'd have to sit down and do the math, but I think the complete would probably be the way to go. The Trek does have carbon wheels, which I've ridden those carbon wheels and they're nice. And this has alloy wheels. So you do get a little bit more bang for your buck with that Trek. If all the bikes were the same price across the board, I still don't know which one I'd pick. So that's why it's the money comes into play with this bike, because if they're all the same price, I still might take the Score. I might take this. I don't know. Well, maybe I'll have an answer by the end of this ride, but yeah, it's definitely just worth talking about, and it's worth considering, because bikes are getting so good and bikes are getting so expensive that, man, this is going to be 10 grand out the door. And it's, you know, how much does that extra $1,000 to $2,000 mean to you? I mean, I guess something you're going to have to decide for yourself. Yeah, for me, it'd be hard to justify for sure, but the bike is definitely good enough to warrant that price tag. It's just, compared to the competition, you know, I think the cable routing on this is nicer than the Score. I haven't seen the Trek, but the Trek does have the frame storage. Yeah, it's a debate for sure. It's a, you know, there is no right answer. We're just talking it out here. So it doesn't feel quite as zippy when the trail's flat, but this bike has way more traction on this rockier, looser terrain. Definitely feels like the rear tire stuck to the ground a bit better than my Score or 130. God, I'm out of shape. All right, it's hot take time here with DBJ. I got a hot take for you on this bike. This bike feels on the spectrum of 130 to SB130 to SB150. This feels way closer to a 150 than a 130. And some of that is probably that's the Lunchride. And some of that is probably that longer rear end. It just makes the bike feel calmer, a little more numb on the more mellower terrain. So I'd be willing to bet the SB120, especially the Lunchride, I think you can get it with a Pike, the 140 Pike. That might be the bike for me. This thing seems a little bit much for a daily. Just a touch. The more I'm riding it, the more I'm climbing it. Also, I'm out of shape. So, you know, take that into effect. I'm usually never in this gear. I'd be willing to bet the Lunchride 120 takes the place of the 130. And then this takes the place of the 150. I know that's not how Yeti's telling you. And I'm not sure that's their intentions. That's the vibes I'm getting. And then the SB160 is probably just a bike for another planet. But, yeah, this thing feels like, if I didn't know the travel numbers, I'd guess like 150, 160. Sorry it's windy, but this bike is starting to come alive here now that the trail speeds are increasing. Just feels, when it gets back to like this speed, kind of just feels dull. But the second you pick up some speed, you can just tell like it's about to come to life. Just to touch on this one more time while I'm thinking about it. Thanks. I think companies now are able to get so much more capability out of a bike and doing it in different ways. Like, I just feel like they can get way more out of a bike tweaking the geometry a little bit, instead of just, oh, let's make a bike more capable, let's slap more travel on it. Like, that's kind of why I'm like, I feel like this bike is kind of replacing the 150 to me, because this bike feels extremely capable. Like, and we haven't even gotten to the super fun stuff yet. And I bet you they're able to get way more confidence and capability, you know, with the increasing the chainstay, you know, probably longer top tube, you know, all the stuff that they're doing without just going, oh, it's a 130 with a little more travel. Like, I feel like this thing would compete with the 150. I really do. They're just able to, like, look at the Evil Following. I've ridden that thing down some stuff that I felt was way over any other standard 120, 130 bike. That, you know, I would say that the Evil Following at 120, 130 would be able to tackle way more technical terrain than a bike like the Specialized Stump Jumper 130, 140 with flex days. You know, you're able in suspension tuning to get more out of a bike without just bumping up the travel number, you know. I feel like the SB130 was just more fun at slower speeds. This thing is definitely not as fun, but once the speed picks up, I think I like it better. This is what the ride is all about. Here we go. Oh yes. Yeah. This bike feels so composed. Wow. Yes. Brakes are starting to feel good. Yes, sir. Yeah. Feels nice and composed in corners, like very carvy feeling. Like feels like the faster sweepers. This thing feels really good. Feels pretty decent to sprint. Woo, you can pick up some speed right there. You know, some of the smaller bikes, 30 miles an hour feels like 50. Man, this bike is so good. Yes. Tire spec is very fitting when you're at speed. I've switched back to the DHF Max Terra on my personal bike, and it just rolls so good, and you know, you kind of get more feedback of what the tire is doing underneath you, and I like that in the tire. Oh yeah, that feels good. Man, it really smooths that stuff out. That DHR is nice rolling with that harder compound. God, it feels so good. Oh, this has changed. Yeah, feels good through this stuff. Haven't ridden this in a while. Oh, I got the line I usually take, maybe. Feels really good through there. I feel like I could have gone way faster, but not my bike. Yeah, man. This thing is fun. Speed equals fun on this thing. And then the bike slows down and you're kind of like, oh, I want to go fast again. Yes. Damn, this bike is so fun. Woo! We are done. Yep. Absolutely love this bike. However, I'm more confused than when I started, because now I don't know if I want the 120. I like this bike more and less than I thought I would. I thought this would for sure be the bike that I want. And if this thing rides as good as it does, I'd either go standard 140 or Lunchride 120. But now, oh, let's take the freaking extra credit line. Shit, now I want to ride the 120. Especially in the Lunchride. I think it's got a piggyback rear shock with a 140 pike. That might be my jam. But this bike is so fun at speed. Like, the faster you go, the more fun. Just straight up. Where some bikes, like the SB140, the faster you go, the more terrifying that thing is. I hate that bike. But God, this thing feels so good. Yeah, that's tough. This is tough. Hey, I am now more unsure than I was when I started. And that's not a bad thing. This thing's just so much more capable feeling than I thought it would feel, that, God, it makes me wonder, God, the 120 Lunchride might be the sweet spot, especially for me. If I was parking it all the time, which I just don't park ride that much, like a lot of my rides are what I just did today. 15 miles, 16 miles, 15 and a half, 2,400 feet, you know, hour and 50 minutes. That's a, you know, typical ride for me. And I want something that's gonna make me want to ride those type of rides. You get a bike that's too dumbed down and I don't want to ride them that long, or too, you know, it's too much for the terrain. That doesn't, and that's not a knock against this bike. That's actually probably a pro, because this thing is just so much more capable feeling than I would have expected. I mean, yeah, I guess at 140, 160, you'd kind of expect it, but God, it's like the most fun bike to ride fast I think I've ever rode. Even probably more so than the 150. Just, it's perfect for the speeds that we hit here. When you're hitting over 30 miles an hour, like, God, it feels so good. I'm torn, I don't know. Help me out. Get down in the comments. All right, just to put a bow on this thing. Man, I'm blown away. This thing is unbelievably, just unreal good. This thing, it's just, all it does is it just wants to go fast. It just does not want to go slow. Kind of reminds me of like a two-stroke dirt bike. Like, they're just no fun until you get in that power band, and then they're just an absolute blast. Whereas like a four-stroke kind of feels fun at like any speed. Where my score, it kind of feels a little bit better at kind of any speed I'm going, or like an evil following, or you know, like a tall boy or something like that. They feel just a little bit better all around. Like, they're more fun to ride at any speed. This thing wants you to be going balls to the wall with your hair on fire, Mach 10 down, just the fastest stuff you can find. I don't know, it's crazy, because it's like, I would buy this bike 100%. I'd hands down buy this bike. It's got me considering. I don't think I'm going to sell my score for one, but I would consider getting, if I were to do it, I'd get the 140 standard with a 150 lyric, and then, or I would do the 120 Lunchride with the pike. I have to ride that before I could give you a definite answer. Man, God, it's just the Yeti frames are so unbelievably sexy. That turquoise, I really like these cranks too. I might put these cranks on the score because I beat the crap out of my carbons. Lighter rear tire, lighter wheel set might help make it feel not so dead at slow speeds. That'd be the only thing that I would play around with. So if I were to do the 140, I'd do probably carbon wheels, and I don't even want to know what that would cost. Yeah, I think 2.3 aggressor out back, or even a 2.3 DHR dual compound would just speed this thing up just a touch, and then a lighter wheel set. And I think I'd probably like it more at the slower speeds, but even still, I think at the end of the day, speed equals fun with this bike, and the faster you go, the more fun it is. And this thing is so much fun to ride fast. Just love it. So there you have it. That's my take. Shout out once again to Taylor Reed Cycles. He's got these to demo. I was the first one to take this one out, so if you guys want to go take this thing out, go talk to Taylor, tell him Dustin sent you. They've got them in stock, so if you guys like this bike and want it, go check it out. But yeah, this bike is a total win for me. I love it. Now I gotta go talk to Taylor about riding a 120, so hopefully we can get that video in soon and give you guys my thoughts and reactions on that, and we'll go from there. But there she is, SB140. Peace out.